following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Thursday, January 6th, 2022, Season 17, episode number 92. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are getting you ready for Cowboys versus Eagles. That happens Saturday night. We will be joined in the second segment by Bucky Brooks of NFL Network to talk a little bit about that game and the matchup specifically between the Philadelphia defense and the Dallas offense. Before we get to that, though, we do have some things we got to talk about. Mike McCarthy finished his press conference a few moments ago. He did announce that there were two more additions to the COVID protocol list. Who's been added, and what are we looking at here?
Anthony Brown has been added, and that's the one that's really I know that Tyron Smith is also on the list, but, Tyron Smith was on a different list, like you ain't playing list. So, that one doesn't surprise me.
You're going to get people saying, oh, we don't even need Anthony Brown. The Anthony Brown haters. But
they're there, yeah.
Oh, they're definitely there.
They don't need him for Saturday.
Yeah. They don't what?
They don't need him for Saturday.
Well, you need a team to play football.
Yeah, they got.
If it was up to you, you sit everyone out.
They got guys. They'll be okay.
I actually like the idea of being able to see Kelvin Joseph play a little more. In a game that there's relatively little consequence. I'd love just to see him get some more snaps and see what he can do.
I don't want to make light of a global pandemic that has ruined our lives for a couple of years and caused a lot of grief. But,
don't be over dramatic here, Dave. But
that's not over dramatic.
It hasn't ruined our lives.
It's ruined a lot of people's lives. This thing sucks.
Some, yes, some.
No, that's not dramatic at all. This thing sucks. I hate it.
It has changed our lives. No doubt, it's changed our lives. I don't know about forever, but definitely for now, it's changed our lives.
The point being, understanding the severity of this whole thing and not trying to make light of any. I'm just going to keep talking through this nonsense.
Keep going.
Understanding that you shouldn't make light of it. This is working out in the Cowboys' favor, in my opinion. I didn't want Micah Parsons to play in this game. And I don't want him to be sick. That's my point. But, Tyron Smith, rest that ankle, buddy. Hope get better for next week. Anthony Brown, not the same caliber player as those two guys, but a veteran that I don't need to see play in this game. You don't have that much to gain. So, for the fifth time, I'll say I don't want these guys to be sick, but if they're not on the field, then that makes me feel better about what they'll be available to do in the playoffs.
And there's going to be more. McCarthy made it. He just said it. There's other guys that are sick.
They just haven't tested positive.
Yeah. They're sick. And if they have symptoms, then they're probably not going to play either. So they're not on the list yet, but
that was interesting. And it's always so fluid, but yeah, Mike was basically like, they don't have it right now, but ask me again in a few hours. Who the hell knows?
It's almost like we're working on it. The Eagles are going to put 12 on there. The Cowboys are going to do that too, and they know what's going on. And I'm not saying the Eagles, all those guys don't have COVID or whatever, but this is a way to kind of manipulate the system here. If you wanted to go that route, you could. You could definitely do that. And teams probably are stretching that a little bit.
Let's talk about Micah Parsons specifically. You mentioned him. How does this work from the standpoint? Because I think at linebacker, you do start to wonder a little bit about numbers. Jayron Kearse, is right now limited in practice. He's a guy that can jump in and play some nickel linebacker. Without him, you do have Keanu Neal coming back. But are you concerned about numbers a little bit at linebacker of being able to have enough guys to play the game?
Yeah. Jayron Kearse is a guy that helped with that last week. He's limited, so probably want to watch him this week. Keanu Neal's back from COVID. They signed a guy, forgive me, I don't remember his name. They signed a kid out of Oklahoma to the practice squad.
Bond?
Yeah, that's his last name.
Oklahoma, okay.
Hey,
I know, I'm just
okay. You can compare.
That's my personal stuff. I'm working out.
Sure.
I lived there 8 years.
Did you really?
Maybe that's my problem. Yeah.
They could call him up. I bet you they will call him up. Donovan Wilson is not a linebacker, but he's a box guy. He's a guy that you can use to help offset
and Bucky
that.
can talk about this more, but he made it sound. He even said they run the ball like Oklahoma, they run the ball there, and so you would need linebackers.
Yeah. The Cowboys' comfort level with not having a lot of those this year has been kind of amusing because, like, when Jason Garrett was here, it was like you couldn't have enough. Like, they'd have 7 on the 53-man roster. And this year they've got like 4, and Mike's like, yeah, it's fine.
Good.
Yeah, we're okay.
Have they used Donovan Wilson in that role? I know he's not a big guy like Jay.
I know
they've used him around the line of scrimmage, but not necessarily as a nickel linebacker.
No, they haven't used him the way they've used Curse. I'm just saying. I mean, he was doing it against the Cardinals. He missed a pretty key tackle in that game. He plays closer to the line of scrimmage. They've used a lot of 3 safeties looks. He's not a linebacker, but when you're just talking about the numbers. Mm-hmm. He is a guy who can be on the field and make tackles or be in position to make them anyway.
I want to go a little bit bigger picture here with regards to the COVID talk. There were questions from the media with regard to what should the team be doing to try to mitigate their risk. Should they be bubbling? Should they be at the hotel? For those that don't know, here at the Star where we are at the practice facility, there is a hotel that literally is attached to the practice facility to where players, if they wanted to stay there, they could literally stay in the hotel and walk immediately into work, never really being exposed to the outside world, I guess, theoretically. What are your thoughts on that? And is that even realistic to expect these guys to just stop their lives and now go and live in a hotel for a month during the playoffs if it happens to be a month?
Real quick, just to be clear, as far as the protocols, right now they're only really getting tested if they're feeling sick.
That's my understanding is when you have symptoms, you get tested. Yeah.
And then as of now, there are multiple other guys, from what McCarthy said, that are feeling sick and stuff. Okay, so that was just to clear up the protocol.
Yeah. And he also pointed this out, and I think that, I think Derek, you and I talked about this yesterday. I mean, we should also remember that, people got sick. I mean, pharmacies were open in the last 100 years. Doctors that were employed. I mean, like, people get sick for other reasons, and especially this time of year, and it happens, especially
flu
in Texas.
Is spreading,
especially
absolutely.
in Texas when it's 80 degrees and then 20 in the same 3 days. So it happens, and so the people are getting sick. And then with COVID, it's like all symptoms. Every symptom in the world seems to be a COVID related symptom. So. I say all that with there's other reasons why these guys are getting sick, this and that. My answer to your question is no. I don't think the players should do that. If players wants to sit at courtside of the Mavericks game, then they can sit there. I mean, there's 20,000 people there, and they have jobs to do. You have a job to do, and you've got to be ready to do your job, regardless if it's on TV or not. You have a job to do, and you got to be healthy, and that's the world that we're in right now. So no, I don't think the player should do that. I don't think CeeDee Lamb should be criticized for going and sitting there with, he's got a mask in his hand. He didn't have it on his mouth, but he had it in his hand. No, I don't think he should be criticized for that. Zeke, they want to do that, they should do that. That's my opinion.
I struggle with that because there was a time in my life where I would have been really fired up about that. That's really selfish. How can you do that? And now, and even with cases spiking, maybe it's just COVID fatigue, and I'm not making as much money. It's not my job to be available on Sunday, but I'm living my life.
Yeah.
I try to be careful, but I watched LSU's bowl game in a bar the other night.
Right.
I mean,
you're not preparing to head to the Super Bowl. These guys are fighting to get there.
Yeah, he is,
not
though.
right now. They're not.
But yeah, he is. He is. He is prepared. I mean, he is need to get there because if they get there. He'll be there. No, but
sorry, Dave. He's not like Micah Parsons.
No, he's not Micah Parsons. He's not Micah Parsons. Yes, he is. He is on our staff. He is Micah Parsons on our staff, and I mean that.
Are we talking about me?
Yes.
Okay.
David's I thought we were talking about Micah Parsons.
That's ridiculous.
We're talking about me.
But it's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous.
All right, gas me up. Let's go. I'm here for this.
What I'm saying
is
is
a little bit. No, I get your point.
I love that smile. That smile just popped up.
From a money standpoint, obviously not. But what I'm saying is that everybody's got a job to do, and we need you to do it. And right now, we're down some too. Our staff is down. And so everybody's got a responsibility to do their job. And you're right. You're living your life. You're doing that, and you're being as healthy, I think, as you can be. But
okay, I'm sorry.
And I know the guy that's listening right now doesn't care so much if Dave is going to write the story or I write it or Rod, but he does care if Micah Parsons plays or Luke Gifford plays. I get it. It's a big difference there.
And the thing is, let me interrupt you there because I strongly disagree with that. Like, Dave and any of us can do our job somewhat remote from home or whatever.
Fair.
These guys, and I'm not trying to criticize anybody. I'm not saying stay at home, be like you're in jail or anything. No, go out and whatever, but take all the precautions that you need when you know you're at this stretch of the year where you need to be available. And I'm not saying for this weekend, okay, we know this game doesn't really matter that much. But at the end of the day, looking forward, there's only one chance, there's only one chance for you to play in that game, and you need to be available. So therefore, take all the precautions that you need. It sucks to be wearing a mask. It sucks to kind of stay away from crowds and stuff like that. But this is a one-time thing that you cannot replicate or do over. So it's very different than what you're trying to say, and I get it.
I agree with everything you just said. You're right, and I think it's easy to just kind of be dismissive of it right now. Like, honestly, again, I hope he doesn't feel bad. I'm hoping Micah feels better soon if he's feeling sick. But like, I was kind of relieved when I heard he was on the COVID list. I was like, great. Nobody's tearing their ACL in Philly on Saturday. Let's go. That's just me being like a callous
It's also the
football
country
fan.
chickenpox kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
growing up in the
just-
country,
oh.
one of my cousins gets chickenpox. They
Bro.
bring all the kids over so you can all get chickenpox at the same time, so you're done with it, right? That's kind of that
I'm
mentality.
all in favor. Like, anybody that you're nervous about, get them on the
know,
COVID
Nick.
list for this game. Like that again. Like, it sounds callous, but it's a strategical thing. Like, and notice Nick brought up CD because I don't give a damn what Amari does. He had COVID like a month and a half ago. He's fine. Not even a month and a half ago. So, no, I mean, I agree with you. I guess, like I said, maybe it's just fatigue because we all know people that have taken it super seriously who have still gotten sick, especially in this Omicron window where, like, it doesn't seem like it matters what you do. I know people who have taken it very seriously, who wear a mask everywhere to this day, who still tested positive for this thing. And so, like I said, I agree with you. I don't think I have the energy to get worked up about it anymore. It's been 2 freaking years.
And then also, like, a few weeks ago when we got all the coaches and a bunch of people that started getting sick, like, in my mind, like, this is why this is so surprising to me, because I'm thinking, even when Jerry got on the radio and was saying, like, well, everybody now is COVID-free because you got the vaccinated and the ones who didn't vaccinate, they got sick, and everybody is, like, free now. But then these news are starting to come up, and you're like, well, crap. Like, this thing is still, I mean, not that it's not going around yet, but I thought that the team had already gone through that kind of spread and gotten past all
Omicron's just
that.
different. Like, it is a different strain, and we're seeing the difference. I mean, we're seeing how contagious this thing really is.
It's different in a good way, not in a bad way. I think it's different in a good way.
Yeah, the good thing about it is it's not getting people. It doesn't seem like it's getting people as sick, but certainly it is spreading like wildfire.
The NFL is going to have to make a decision at some point, and it probably will be after the season. But they're going to have to make a decision on how to clarify this, because right now, when it's called the coronavirus, it's got that, like, you've got COVID, and especially with Omicron, like you said, I think it's definitely not as serious, especially in now to some there are, and I'm not trying to say that there's people in the world that are dealing with it, of course, but I mean, from the NFL standpoint, I think for the players, for the 99% of the players have been come back, and then they're fine. They're going to have to just change. I think next year they'll change how they view this and how they treat it.
And it's already changing. I think, and that's part of it too. Is also with the way that they've changed the rules and everything. Like, and I'm not saying this is ideal, but you could test positive on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and be back. Like, they're bending over backward to make it possible to get back quickly.
Just to be clear,
this.
these are also in accordance with the CDC.
Of course.
Just wait.
Of course.
Yeah, these are recommendations from the CDC. It wasn't just the NFL kind of doing their own thing.
The NFL was probably very relieved when they saw the CDC do that.
Absolutely. I'm sure they were very happy for it to happen, but let's just be clear. The CDC put out the recommendations, and then the NFL took action.
The memes going around for the CDC are fantastic, by the way.
Good stuff. All right.
The numbers will go down in the playoffs. That's my prediction, is they will go down.
Well, one thing to note in this whole conversation is that, and Mike McCarthy mentioned it, there are players who are opting to take the Omni offer and are staying over there at the Omni Hotel and kind of bubbling themselves. I know I saw a player there about 2 weeks ago when I stayed there. So I know this is happening. Mike McCarthy said it's happening. So that means that there are some that are doing it. And maybe when we get to the playoffs, there may be more who have to say, for this period in time, as Amber was saying, I have a short window of something that's really important to me. Anything I can do to give me the best shot possible to be available, I'm going to do it. And maybe that happens over the next couple weeks.
I would love nothing more than when they get back from Philly, if they all check into the Omni and don't leave until the season's over, whenever that is.
But that's their choice.
It not only is it their choice, I just don't think it's realistic to ask 65 young, wealthy men to do that. It just, I mean, have fun. You can try.
Just hearing you say that, it seems like that's just so ludicrous, right? 65. I mean, I'm saying not ludicrous, but just ludicrous that it would even happen. Like that you could really convince that many guys to say, yes, we are all going to just do this.
If I would settle for getting – wait, what's up?
No, I go ahead.
I would settle for getting buy-in from, like, the core guys. Like, if we can get – I wouldn't be – Dak might not be at the Omni, but I don't think Dak's doing much of anything these days besides – watching tape or whatever. But like if I could get Dak and the O-line and Micah to just huddle up and bubble, I'll take that. Like that's a win for me. But what are you going to say?
You also, assuming that, like when you say like a like CD or Dak that, everybody's 26 years old and single and either going to the bars or going home. When there are players that have kids, there are players that have wives. Sure. So
of
that's
course.
not necessarily it's easy to just hotel, So there's a lot of different.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys are married with kids, and y'all go bubble up at a hotel every summer for work and don't come home for a month, and it's just understood that that's part of your professional obligation. I mean,
true,
challenging.
Very. Hey, I'm with y'all the whole time.
Yeah.
I know it's challenging, but you
get to hear us.
I get to
moan about it.
Oh well, I mean, I get to hear about it.
Yeah.
But you do what you got to do sometimes.
All right, we're gonna take our first break. We'll come back. We got a Bucky Brooks from NFL Network joining us in the second segment. We're gonna talk Philadelphia defense versus Cowboys offense. We'll be right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
Your favorite WWE superstars like Roman Reigns, The Rock, who else?
I mean, right now?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about current wrestlers. Big E. I love Big E.
Big E.
Oh, Dallas, don't you dare be sour. No? Okay, fine.
Sounds
I
like
didn't
it
know.
could be Dusty Rhodes from back in the day.
Does kind of sound like
The New Day. I don't think.
Bray Wyatt, maybe? That sounds like something.
I
Okay, anyways, those guys and others, Coco Beware and those guys.
Yeah.
April 2nd, April 3rd, 2-day event, WrestleMania. Get your tickets on SeatGeek.com.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We are joined right now by Bucky Brooks of NFL Network. Bucky, let's talk some Philadelphia defense versus the Cowboys offense. Over the last four games versus teams with winning records, Philadelphia has allowed an average of 35 points per game. In the rest, they've only allowed 16. Most of the games that they've had where their defense has only allowed 16 have happened in the second half of the season. What have you seen from their defense? What is the area where they're most improved as how they've played over the last 6-7 games?
It's a team that's gone from zone-heavy coverage to more man-to-man. And so man-to-man plays to the strength of the personnel that they have on their team. Darius Slay and others play well locking up. And because they have tighter coverage, they've been able to get off the field. Before, they were trying to kind of play what Indianapolis plays, a lot of zone, a lot of cover two, a lot of keep the ball in front, and it just didn't do it well. It's not really a great fit for their personnel, but since they've gone to more man-to-man, it's been better for them. Now, it also coincided with them playing teams that are not as talented, and so when you go man-to-man against teams that aren't as talented, you have a tendency to suffocate them, and that's what the Eagles have been able to do.
Bucky, I'm going to pole vault this game and maybe even in the playoffs as well and go into next year if I can. Terrence Steele's going to start at left tackle probably for Tyron Smith. Do you think Terrence Steele is a full-time starter for the Cowboys next year?
Not at left tackle. I mean, I think you can get by with him, but I think if that's the thing, Tyron Smith's on the beat there. You need to invest a top pick in the left tackle position. You need a blue-chip player. I think Terrence Smith is good. He's been a solid fill-in. He's not a starter because when you get down to it, you got a $40 million quarterback. You want to make sure you have sufficient protection and elite-level protection. The Cowboys' offensive line is not what it once was, and they need to address it and make sure that they have the best offensive line because all the money is tied up in the defense, in the offense. You want to make sure that the offense is always superior, and the way that you do that is invest in the offensive line. So, yeah, I think they need to upgrade Terrence Steele.
Bucky, can you make an argument for me, I guess just with everything we've seen from the Cowboys offense since the bye week over the last 8 weeks, whatever it is, 9 weeks. What is to be gained from this performance? Like, let's even say they go to Philly and play a fantastic game. I mean, I guess I'm asking you if you believe in the concept of week-to-week momentum. Like, does putting a good effort on tape in Philly really matter toward how you play in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think you can flip a switch. I think how you play is part of habit forming. So you want to create championship habits. And so if you're the Cowboys, you want to play well going into the postseason because it kind of gives you an opportunity to play well the next week. I don't believe you can say, all right, guys, we're in the playoffs. Let's turn it on. Let's focus more. Let's make sure we pay more attention to detail. It doesn't work like that. And I think the Cowboys have to be careful because even as I hear you guys talk about, this doesn't matter, these things don't matter, like, Philly can't beat them, this and that, you have to be careful about the outside noise because the perception is that the Cowboys are a Super Bowl team, and they may be, but they got to play the right way. And if you start getting into a habit where you're not playing the right way week after week after week, they'll never realize their goals of being a Super Bowl champion. So they need to get back on track this week, and they need to play better in the playoffs because the game changes once you get into the postseason.
Bucky, I'm not trying to play the blaming game or anything like that, but as far as like struggles on offense, I mean, would you put it more towards player execution or kind of what Kellen Moore has been doing these past few weeks?
I think it's all of the above. I'm not in love with the play calling all the time. I feel like sometimes Kellen Moore gets too cute. Sometimes when your team is better than the other team, you just need to give the ball to the playmakers and let them make plays. You don't have to do all the fancy designs and reverses and those things. But I don't think the players have played great. I think we saw a little bit of an effort when Dak got back on track against the Washington football team and that stuff, but inconsistent. And so I just think they need to tighten up on all the details because when you get into the postseason, the game is faster and the consequences are dire. Like the mistakes that you make in the postseason, like can end your season. And so you just want to be on it. And so I think it's just really important that everyone understands the urgency that's needed to play at a higher level. And you got to be on the details. And it's more important now than ever to be on it because, look, man, the margin for error is so slim between the teams that move on and the teams that go home.
So there's kind of this narrative that's popped up here in the last couple of days about Dak and his ability to read coverage and disguises and teams disguising things and all that stuff. How much do you put into that? Do you think Dak is having problems with being able to handle pre-snap versus post-snap reads, or do you think this is just a big, conversation about something that really isn't happening?
I think it's a big conversation about something that's really not happening. I think all quarterbacks get fooled from time to time. I don't think it's an issue with Dak Prescott can't read coverage. He can't decipher what's going on. Look, he's played too good for so long to be fooled by some of the things consistently, to have a major liability when it comes to being able to diagnose what teams are doing to them. That's not what's happening. They're not executing. They hadn't been on the same page for a long time because it was him and those guys, Gallup, CD, and Cooper hadn't played together, so the chemistry was off. Then you finally get them together, they start playing better, then Gallup goes out. And so you're bringing in new pieces. He'll get back on track. He's still playing at a level. When you look at the numbers, completion percentage is the best of his career, more touchdowns than he's ever thrown in his career. He is playing well, but Dak is a polarizing figure for whatever reason. And so people like to poke holes in his games, whether he's playing well or he's not playing well.
I think that reason is that he's the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, that's always been the reason. I got to ask you, Bucky, do they have a problem at kicker in your mind?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
problem.
Well, you know what? Hold on, because my knee might hurt in the morning. It doesn't mean I'm going to have surgery. Do they need to make a change at kicker?
I mean, I think it's too late in the game to make a change heading into the postseason. But yeah, it's a problem. I am not. Whenever I see Zerline run out, I don't get up and walk away from the TV and go get a snack like I do with Justin Tucker. When Justin Tucker runs up to the field for the Ravens, I know it's money. Zerline, I'm like, I don't know. And no one wants that feeling.
Okay,
and
but
no one wants that feeling on PATs and kicks.
Okay, hold on. Because a lot of times we say this coach isn't like Belichick would have done this, or Aaron Rodgers would have done this, and Justin Tucker would have done this. Okay, those are the GOATs. Like, is there other Justin Tuckers? I mean, like, who else in the league is like that? Like, I feel like he's the best, and then who else? Like,
I mean, like, I think everybody has some struggles. But
yeah.
If you're asking me in a perfect world, because I'm looking at it like, if you ask me as the general manager for the Cowboys,
yeah,
how do I feel about it? I feel a little uneasy.
Okay. All right.
He hasn't been automatic.
Got it.
And I want him to be automatic. When we run onto the field with the PAT and the field goal team, boom, that's when I got points on the board.
Got it.
So I'm a little worried about it, more so for the PATs as opposed to the field goal.
So my follow-up question to that, Bucky, you're a former personnel guy in the NFL. How does that conversation go when you have a kicker that's running out every game and you don't know what he's going to do one game to the next or one kick to the next, but you also know that whatever's out on the street may not be, you might be getting the same thing. How does that conversation go? Do you get to a point where you have to start talking about contingencies and how much are you willing to accept maybe what's on the street just for the sake of doing something different?
I mean, I think you have to have that conversation. I think former Cowboys coach Jimmy Johnson said when they start missing, go ahead and cut, because it's hard for them to turn it around. Now, I'm not saying that you cut Greg Lee, but this is part of a 2-year problem where we're seeing some inconsistencies in his play. And so special teams coaches don't like to change it, but at some point, man, the production has to be there. He has been good at times from long distance and those things. The PAT thing is the thing that concerns me. Because when you miss PAT, it changes the way that you have to conduct and manage the game.
Yep.
And so he should be able to knock those down. Like, there's no excuses for missing PAT. Like, those other kicks, I can live with. So the PATs need to be money all the time.
Hey, real quick, before we let you go and before we get to your prediction for the game, I did have a defensive question I wanted to ask you about. How do you assess Keanu Neal's play this year? It seems like he's going to probably be playing quite a bit this week without Micah Parsons. How do you assess what he's done as a Cowboy this year?
I mean, I think he's been solid. He hasn't been asked to do a lot, but I think he's been solid in the role that they put him in. Anytime you have a guy who's making a transition from safety to linebacker, you're going to have some bumps in the road. But I think the packaging, the way that Dan Quinn had packaged him and tried to use him early in the season, played to his strengths. Now, with Micah Parsons being out, it may be a good thing because now Dan Quinn gets an opportunity to dig in his bag a little bit and kind of see what he could come up with and what could help them down the road versus maybe the Rams or versus Tampa or versus somebody else who is really prolific in terms of throwing the ball all over the yard. So I think he's been good enough, and I think he'll do a good job for them. He's not Parsons, but he's good enough.
All right, let's get your prediction. What do you think is going to happen Saturday night?
I mean, it's so up in the air because I don't know how the Cowboys are going to treat it.
Yeah.
I would expect the Cowboys to win. They're the better team. They've owned the division. Dak Prescott's owned the division whenever he started, so I would expect them to win. The one thing, they just got to come with the right mind frame, the right mentality to take care of business and to put themselves in the best position when it comes to seeding. If they play the Cardinals or whoever, you just want to feel good going into the next week. Even though the record's reset and you start all over, you want to do that. And final point, you guys are talking about not being worried about the guys being out and about. I will say this. Championship teams begin to make some changes to their behaviors to ensure that everyone is available. And so it takes sacrifice in something. Sometimes it's like not going out. Sometimes it's not drinking, whatever. But you want to put your team in the best position to win it. And what you don't want to do is have a COVID situation prevent you from having your stars available in the postseason. So you may just want to have that conversation with the team like, hey, guys, let's just dial it back a little bit. Make sure we can get everybody to the party.
All right. Thanks for that, Bookie. That's good stuff. We'll see you next week. We're going to take our final break. We'll come back. We got some more talk on Cowboys versus Eagles. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call. And teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
Nicholas.
Welcome back. We're in the final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star.
Reads. I think they've stopped. I mean, I've got some. I got some old ones about rally days and stuff like that. But I mean, they've kind of stopped sending them.
All right, that's fine. You should have just given me the go, and I'm ready. I can go.
Talking to Dave. I apologize.
As I was talking to Amber, I know we're just kind of all having conversations. Did you have something you were trying to say there in the break?
You know, I about the kicker situation. I will say this. I actually went and did the math, which is not a strength of mine, but it is. I'm okay.
Right.
Simple math, I'm pretty okay. And in this case, Zerline missed a field goal and they lost by 3. If he makes the field goal and then everything kind of plays the way it played, they lose 26-24. They don't lose 25-22. They lose 26-24. Mm-hmm. If he would have made the field goal, they still lose by 2. Based off of everything that would have happened. That's why it's tricky to just say that, and especially in the first half, because Arizona scored to make it 19-7 or whatever. But if the score was 19-10, they kick it, they probably make it 20-10,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Cowboys don't go for 2 and all this kind of stuff. And next thing you know, they lose by 2.
It's one of my least favorite things in football is you miss a field goal on like the first or second possession of the game, you lose by 3. And yeah, like the kicker should make the kick. That I'm not,
yes.
but that's not. You didn't lose because of that. You lost because you punted 3 straight times between the second and third quarter. Like there's always a million reasons why you lose.
It was a part of the reason why you lost. It is not.
You can't just retroactively add 3 to the score. Like that's just not how it works.
You know, he missed the field goal early in the game, and it was like, well, you know, he sucks, and they lost by 2. He also had a 48-yarder to take the lead that could have been the game-winning field goal, you know, but they got Brady'd. But
I like using that as a verb. Good job.
I mean, Rodgers'd.
That doesn't sound as good.
Rogered.
12'd. They got 12.
That works too.
For both, actually. For both.
Right. Yeah. Oh, you remember? Where were we in? What press box were we in where the NFL came out and said, here's the greatest quarterback number of all time, and it was like they gave like 10 number 12s. And we were like, seriously? Like,
that wasn't. Was that it was on their social channel they did that.
Yeah, we were in the press box
and
somewhere.
Roger was not on there.
Roger Staubach wasn't there. We're like,
dubious list.
Hello, like, what did we end up doing? We did something, and didn't they correct it?
Yeah, I think we put something out that was kind of snarky, but
yeah, I was like, okay, I mean,
the original,
right?
I mean,
the original.
I'm guessing. I don't know any 12s before him. I'm guessing there might have been one or two, but I don't know.
All that. But I mean, when you started, I'm like, when they threw Andrew Luck out there, I was like, oh, okay, this is
over Roger. Yeah.
All right, we made a mistake here. You know, sorry.
Yeah, I think somebody just didn't realize what they.
That was my point, though, just about the math.
All right, let's talk about Blake Jarwin. Dave, you asked a question too, and we talked a little bit about Blake and what he could be coming back. But you asked Mike McCarthy the question, and I thought he had an interesting response. What was his response on Blake and what he can bring to the offense?
I thought it was funny, and rightfully so. But like the first 8 questions he got asked were all about dealing with COVID, and I was like, I want to talk about the backup tight end, if you don't mind.
And he was like, let's talk about the backup tight
end. Excuse me, Mike?
No, I did think, and actually somebody else said this too, and it's the type of inside football stuff that I love that you don't necessarily think about. But a big part of his answer was just the way that it opens up more lanes in the running game because you have an extra tight end, a guy who can block. And
Bucky was talking about that yesterday.
Oh, that's what you're right. That's what it was. And Mike said the exact same thing. It gives you like a wider array of options in the running game. He kind of made it sound like Blake has a chance to play on Saturday. I don't know why my voice does that.
Either, but that was interesting.
So, that is it. I would.
Y'all both are doing that today. These are good mics.
Did I do that?
No, Amber did too. Like, these are good mics. Like when you whisper, like this game doesn't really matter. Like it still picks up.
I know, but you can convey it with my tone of voice.
You did it earlier. You said something like, "This game doesn't really matter," or something like that.
Oh yeah, I did.
But no, I would love it if Blake could get out there and get some run in. Like that's a situation where you should play. Like you've been off for 2 months. If you're, and of course, always only if you're healthy enough to do it, but you kind of knock some rust off, get ready. Like I said, I don't think it's like this magic potion that's just going to fix the offense, but I think in the running game, and again, what I said yesterday about giving you diversity of options in the passing game while not giving up ground in the running game, I think it could be very useful.
All right. There was another question I wanted to get to before we end the show. I kind of asked Bucky about it as well, and it's become the narrative that somehow Dak is having this issue. I wanted to get you guys' opinion. Do you think this is much to do about nothing? Because I personally think, like, I kind of agree with Bucky. The production this year says that I don't think this looks like a quarterback that can't read coverages. But obviously the offense hasn't been working the way that we were accustomed to seeing it earlier in the season. I don't know if I put that all on Dak. Where do you guys fall with this?
I thought Dak had, and it wasn't like this groundbreaking answer. It was very straightforward, but he said something yesterday along the lines of like, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your level of expertise is. Like if 50% of your offense isn't working well, it's going to make life hard on you. And he was talking about the running game. I mean, and there are some that can do it better than others. Aaron Rodgers being like the peak example of just a guy who can make it work. But most quarterbacks struggle when they don't have that balance. And as we know, balance isn't 25 carries to 25 attempts. It's can you efficiently gain yards both ways. And the Cowboys can't right now, not on a regular basis. And Dak reads coverage with the best of them. Like I don't want to hear that crap. He's fantastic. His accuracy has been a little lacking in the second half of the season. I'm comfortable, even if he doesn't want to. I bet you his calf injury has something to do with that. Just reworking his mechanics. I think it's as simple as saying they just don't have a way to shake defenses out of those looks. Where again, like, find the windows versus 8 guys as opposed to versus 5. I mean, do the math yourself. Obviously, that's a little bit simplistic, but I think that's the main problem more than anything.
I think he's right about that, and I think it goes a step further too. I mean, we asked this the other day, and I don't think you were on this show. I think it was just the 3 of us. We talked about any offensive players that have exceeded expectations, and really, I think Amber said Terrence Steele, and Schultz would have been there. But when you go back and look, this offensive line isn't as good as we thought they would be, and I think it took defenses time to realize they're not overpowering anyone. The receivers, as good as they are at times, we have not seen training camp CD this year. We've seen some good CD, but we haven't seen training camp CD. Which is ironic because the cornerbacks have been good. It wasn't like they were playing bad corners; they were playing pretty good corners, and he was awesome. They're not winning as much as that we thought. Dak isn't throwing the ball accuracy as well as we've seen him in the past, and Zeke's not running it as well. This offense isn't. They can have all the numbers they want, but the offense isn't dominating to the point where we thought they would, and it all just kind of connected to me.
I don't think it's that he's not able to read coverages. I think it's still more of a mental thing that he's dealing with as far as confidence. Something that happened to him mentally whenever he got back from that injury that has just kind of lingered through this point of the season. And I get it, like, you do need a good balance in a running game. But going back to the beginning of the season, I mean, back then, they weren't really needing them to run the ball or anything. They were having a pretty good game, but you weren't relying on the running game. So when you talk about it being perfectly balanced, that wasn't a thing. And of course, letting the opposing team know that you can run the ball, it's going to affect in how they play you as well. But I think it's just a combination of everything that they talked about. You got the running game, then you got the O-line struggling, you got Dak struggling with his own things, then you got maybe the plays being called that maybe isn't necessarily the best play for the moment, and then you also got receivers dropping the ball at times that they shouldn't be dropping it. So it is a culmination of everything that is just not clicking how it needs to be, but I do think that Dak is very much capable of reading things. He's just struggling with something mental, in my opinion, from what I see from the outside.
He's had too many fantastic games with gaudy passing numbers against too many, like, maybe not great teams, but good NFL teams for, like, no, that's a bogus storyline. I just think they don't have a counterpunch right now. And when she was talking, I was thinking, I don't remember how they ran the ball against Atlanta. It probably wasn't great. So Atlanta and Tampa are the only good games they've played this year that I can think of where they really weren't able to get a run game going. Like, I just think, and I'm not, Dak's not a bus driver. He's a better quarterback than that. He's shown it consistently throughout the last 3 years. But there just aren't that many guys who are good enough to still be that productive with no semblance of balance, and they haven't had that.
I'll challenge everybody listening, if you have an opportunity to go and look at any of the Game Pass on NFL.com. I went back today, and I just spent time watching the last 2 games, and I specifically was watching a lot of running plays to see what I thought the issue was. And I think the big issue, and I think I agree with you, Dave, that I think the passing game problems are a reflection of what they can't do in the running game. But the running game all is about the offensive line, and particularly in the middle. And that, I'm not talking about Connor Williams necessarily. I'm talking about Biotish. Like, there's so many plays, running plays, where his guy gets him and then sheds him, and now he's right there meeting the runner. And it happens consistently enough to where that can definitely cause problems. And there are other guys on the offensive line that miss blocks here and there as well. But I think overall as a unit, I just don't think they're playing well when it comes to the running game. And I think that's the biggest problem you're seeing right now with this offense is because you really don't have a threat in the running game, a consistent threat in the running game. I think teams are just saying, hey, we'll play coverage against you, and we're just going to make it really tough on your quarterbacks and your receivers to find open spots and be able to get the ball there in a quick amount of time without Dak feeling the pressure because, again, the offensive line is struggling to block for him.
It does make me wonder, and part of that is, I mean, Dak burned a lot of people in the early going of the season, and so they've probably course-corrected with that. But, like, they were able to get it going in the first 6 weeks. So, I don't know. Maybe that gives you optimism that they can do it again, or maybe the fact that it's been so long since they were able to really get it cranked. I don't know. But if I could wish for anything heading into the playoffs, it's that they rediscover how to be more efficient in the run game.
But now that you mentioned that, it makes me think I do recall many, many plays where, and maybe I don't have the right terms for it, but basically when they are trying to run the ball, they're so tight. Like, there's no space. Like, why can't you just spread it out a little? Yeah. Like, every play, and that's why Zeke or Pollard sometimes are just running into a wall where there's literally no gap being created in between.
Well, a lot of that is the push. They're not getting any push. Like, you watch this offensive line. Look down the middle, like when they have that camera angle where you see the offense and defensive line, look and see which way it goes. Like, a lot of times watching football games, you can tell how good teams are doing by seeing which side is kind of winning that battle up front. When the ball is snapped, which way is everybody going? Is everybody pushing forward? Everybody pushing backwards? And it's very often that the Cowboys' offensive line just doesn't get any push. They just don't get any push. And so it doesn't create any holes because the defenders are basically being able to get in whatever gaps they want to get in and not being pushed out of the way.
This is the perennial debate. And I'd always rather have a good team to follow and cover than a good draft pick. Like, I'm not saying I wish the Cowboys' season was ending on Saturday, but if I could pick one draft prospect to put on this team right now, Iowa's got a center who is a stud, and I just think they're probably too good to hope for that right now.
Great thing about centers, they will drop in the draft.
It's true.
Really good ones. So,
it's true.
I know, Nick, I think you mentioned that the other day. You get a guard or a center, there's a good chance you might get the best one in the draft at the end of the first round.
I mean,
right?
Travis was picked 31.
Yeah.
It's possible, but it's January, but that would surprise me, but it would be a very nice surprise because that's something I do think they need to address.
All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit more, get you guys ready for Cowboys versus Eagles. That happens Saturday night. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, and Amber Garcia, I am Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!